Huh. Sit down cross-legged, palms facing down. Take 3 deep breaths. Float your eyes open. Now rotate your arms up to prayer pose. Bring it down to your chest. Do that a couple more times. Rotate your arms up to a prayer above your head. Bring it down to the center of your chest. So the breath is very important. So when you're breathing, when you push out, you take a breath, and then breathe out when you bring your hands down to your chest. So there's always 2 parts to it. There's an inhale and an exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Right? Bring your arms back to your knees. Now rotate your head, rotate your neck. Opposite direction. Bring it back to center. Take a couple of deep breaths with your eyes closed. With each successive breath, make sure your exhales are longer than your inhales. Make sure each successive inhale is longer than the previous inhale, but also make sure that your exhales are longer than your inhales. This allows your body to go into a state of calm, or at least to move from that state of, if you're holding any stress, to slowly move into a state of calm. It's a short way to do it, an easy way to do it. And when you're breathing out, do all of this with your eyes closed. It happens naturally. I'm spelling it out, but then it happens naturally. So what I do is I do a 4-second inhale, 2-second hold, and I try to work to a 7-second exhale. And when I'm exhaling, basically I'm working the air through, so I can feel it go down my spine. The air's not actually going down your spine, but you can feel it, and that's what's important, because so you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, do a simple strenuous twist. Go back up to your left. Three breaths. Back up to the center. So I'll show you again. Arms up, deep breath, twist to your right. Three deep breaths. Deep breath, breathe out. So this is a simple starter procedure. This should take about 5 minutes of just warming up. Next, we want to stretch out our sides, right? So you first start by putting one arm flat down. I don't know if you can see this. The other arm goes up and you're stretching your right side. Try and look up to your right fingertips. Now this is stretching the entire right side out. These are simple introductory stretches, right? Do the same thing on the other side. Your right arm, left, I'm trying to mirror it, so this is the opposite side, right? Goes down and stretch. Don't do this because then you're not getting a stretch. You need to do this. And breathe into the space. Take three breaths. You're stretching out this entire section. So since we're living such sedentary lives these days, this part, our lower back and our hips, get extremely tight. And it's all linked. In the Western sciences or Western thought, we tend to think of everything to be discrete and disparate, but that's not true. The body is a single system, especially our anatomy and our physiology. Nothing exists independent of each other. So when you're stretching, you're trying to stretch out all these muscles on your left side, on your right side. And your arm acts as a weight to pull down against it. So when you're coming up, you could either go back, or if it's extremely tight, then you can go down. So I would recommend go down and then work your way back up. Alright, so these are very simple. Right now we haven't even got started with the actual intensive poses. These are very simple stretches almost, right? These are stretches that just warm your body up, right? So now that our body this isn't even a warm-up, this is just to get those kinks out, get it ready. It's almost like an amuse-bouche, not even an appetizer. Now we're going into the appetizer portion. So get onto all fours, onto hands and knees. So when you're on hands and knees, initially make sure your back is straight, your tummy is tucked in. You don't want to be arching your back and you don't want to be stretching it out the other way. You want to have a neutral spine. This is called a neutral spine. You want your hands to be placed down, your fingers wide, right below the shoulders, right? You don't want to be this way or this way. You just want to start off with neutral spine. You want your knees to be right behind your hands, creating an even distribution of weight, right? So now we can go into the cat and cow pose. The cat and cow are perfect appetizer portions to say. It's a good way to get your body started. Breathe in into cow pose, which is arching your spine and your shoulders scrunched and your forehead pointing up to the ceiling. Also in cow pose, your tops of your feet are facing down. Cat pose is do the opposite. Curl your back up so that your tummy is, your navel is pulling in. Have your head fall down, neck stretch, shoulders stretch, and the bottom of your toes touching the ground. Your feet are curled. Breathe in with cow, breathe out with cat. Do that about 5 times. Go back to neutral spine once you're done. Now you can come back, sit on your knees with your the top of your feet facing down. You're sitting on your heels essentially. Since we're just starting off, we're going to spread our knees. Stretch up like how we did in the beginning. Stretch all the way up. We're going into a child's pose. This is almost like namaz. Have your third eye, where we usually put a bindi right between the above, in the middle of your forehead. Rest on the floor. Take 5 deep breaths, and when you take a deep breath, you're breathing into all the way down to your lower spine where we hold all our tension. And since we have become such a sedentary species, that's what's happening. Make sure each successive breath is deeper where you feel the breath going all the way from your neck down your spine to your lower back, and that's the major section where we hold all our tension, and it's from there that it spreads out into the muscles, right? So now we back up. Let's back onto all fours. This is a good place to do some more appetizer stretches, as I like to call it. So I'm going to be, since this is my front facing camera, everything's flipped, so I'm going to be doing left first, but that means you have to do right first. Okay? So I'm going to bring my left arm here to the center, and right arm goes up, stretch. Look up at your fingers, and we aren't going to come back down. I'm going to thread the needle, as they say, but I'm not going to thread the needle just once and go deep into the pose. I'm going to go back up, and it's all coordinated with my breath. So I take a breath in when I'm up, breathe out when I go back down. Do it 2 more times. And each time you go, try and thread the needle further. 3rd time. And now the 4th time, I'm going to actually put my shoulder down on the floor. I'm going to go as far as I can. And for beginners, you can just leave the right arm here. You can, if you want a little more of a stretch, you stretch your, not right arm, your left arm this way. You can stretch this arm out. All the while, you should feel the tension in your shoulder. Alright? When you do it this way, you feel the tension here. When you do it this way, you feel the tension here. Alright? So you can do both. So I like to first do it this way. And then this way. And I go up. Your arm is up in the air. Your basically side of your head is on the floor, and you're facing the right wall or left wall. Now, my hand that's up is facing the left wall. Now I'm going to flip it to the opposite side, and I'm going to create a bind. I'm going to try and look up to the upper ceiling. So this is a little bit of a complex pose, and you have to be nimble. Take some deep breaths. Now slowly get out of your bind with your arm facing the back wall. Now facing the front wall. Bring your arm down. Go back. Stretch it out. And back down. Got that? So now I'm going to do the opposite hand. Now we can go back into a child's pose. You can shake out your hips if you like. Now back to hands and knees. Now, since we're here, we can continue with different poses that involve the hands and knees, right? Hey Google, reduce the volume by 2. Okay. So, right leg out, go back and forth. Make sure you're completely on your mat. Back and forth, just to stretch out those hamstrings, stretch out the calves. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to put my back leg down at perpendicular to my body. Right, or parallel to this part of the mat, right? Now I'm gonna almost put this kneeling leg out like a tripod or like a stand, and I'm gonna stretch up. Right? Make sure your entire body is facing the side wall. It's always good to be in a square room and have different walls as your forms of perspective. Make sure your head doesn't hang low and is not kinked up. Make sure it's perpendicular to your hands, to your arms. Sorry. So now what I'm going to, this is essentially I guess an assisted side plank, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift off my back leg. This is why having this the kneeling leg at an angle really helps, right? So now I'm going to pull back. This really helps stretch out the shoulder, stretch out the entire side of your body, from your arms down to your legs. Couple of deep breaths. Back up and go back down. So now we do the same thing on the other side. Back and forth. Make sure my foot is parallel to the side. Make sure my kneeling leg is out in a stand, like a tripod stand, and then go straight up. You can take another child's pose if you like. Alright, there's another pose I can do while being on all fours. Well, I think I'll end it for this session. I'll continue next time because it takes time to explain each of these things, so I think this is a good stopping point. Until next time.